Hi, it's Pete. As promised, we're just going to have a quick look at an introduction to spreadsheets. This time I'll be using Microsoft Excel as opposed to what we covered today when we were working together at the Kerria Centre, and hopefully that will help. Okay, here then is the basic Excel spreadsheet. Now, as we were talking about this morning, across here we've actually got columns. So there's column A, column B, column C, column D. And then down the side here we've got rows. So as you can see, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and where they meet is the cell address. So that's cell B2, that will be cell C3, cell B4, etc. Okay, now each of those cells can hold one of three types of information. So the first type it can hold is text, and we can just type information in and it goes in as text. Now, as you can see, the text is actually aligned against the left hand edge of the cell, and that's fairly straightforward and fairly typical. The second type of information we can enter is number. So there I've entered the number 90 and I've entered the number 10, and as you can see, it's fairly straightforward. All I've done is I've typed that number and it's gone into the cell. Now the third type of entry we can make is a calculation. Now, to build a calculation into the spreadsheet, the way we do it is we put the cursor in the cell that we want the results. So there, as you can see, my cursor is in cell B5. I press the equal sign, and the equal sign tells Excel that I'm going to build a calculation. I then point to the first value I want in my calculation, and then press the math sign. And the math sign I'm using here is going to be plus, and then I point to the next cell I want to use in a calculation. Now, because there's only the two cells, I just press return at that point, and as you can see, it's got 90 plus 10 equals 100. Now, I could have done that in my head, but the idea is that if I now type in different sets of numbers, then I can instantly get the result. And so there I've now built a spreadsheet that calculates two numbers added together very quickly. Okay, so let me just remove that and delete it. Okay, now let me also show you the various maths signs that we will be using. So the math signs are minus is the dash, is the plus sign, the asterisk is multiplication, and that is the shift 8 key, gives the multiplication sign, and then the slash key is divide. So they're the four key functions that we're going to be playing with as we're working. So what I want to do is I'm going to build a very quick spreadsheet for a community group. So I'm going to call it community group. And in my community group, we meet on a weekly basis. Now, here I'm going to put the date, and underneath there I could just type in the date. So if I type in today's date, and today it is the 9th of May, so I could type it in as 9th of May and just move my cursor off it and it will format in that manner. I could have typed 09/05/14 and it would have actually put it in that manner. So it depends how I want to actually get the dates to appear. I'm sticking with the 9th of May because I'm born idle. In this column here we've got the money we bring in from bingo. I've got the money I bring in from subs. I've got the money I bring in from coffee, tea, etc. And then here I've got my trips. Over this side I've then got my expenditure. And again I'm just going to have one column for expenditure. And so what I'd like here is a total. And then here I want a balance that would actually be the balance of where we are on a weekly basis. So From my bingo I bring in £12.50. My subs has brought us in £34. Coffee money has brought us £12. And my trips is £300. And so what I want to do now is to build a calculation that will sum those numbers together. Now, there are quick sums, but the way we're doing it at the moment is we press the equal sign, we point to the first number in the calculation, we then press the plus sign, we then point to the second number for our calculation, I press the plus sign, the next number, the plus sign, and the next number, and I can then press return. And so the sum of those numbers there is £380.50. In this column here is where I can put the expenditure. Now I'd quite like to have a gap between my total and my expenditure, so I'm going to put my cursor up to the top of that column, press the right hand mouse key, and then I can insert, and that has inserted a new column. So then my expenditure for that week was £23.30. And so what I want to do now is to calculate the balance between what I've actually brought in and what I've spent. So I press the equal sign, and I want to take my total and take away from that my expense, and then press the return. So again, I press the equal sign, I then pointed to the cell G7, press the minus sign, pointed to cell I7, and there's the result. Okay. And I could just carry on and repeat that. So the following week would be the 16th of May. Now that's picked up the format because that was the format that was in that cell previously, but I'll leave that for the moment, I'll explain that later. I've then got the amount we got for bingo. We had a lot of people there, it was £23, a good jackpot running there. We got the subs was up to £38. Coffee money was up as well, so £16 for coffee, but we got no money for trips this week because everything was actually paid last week. Now I can rebuild that calculation again. However, if I put my cursor onto the cell with the calculation, here we've got that little block in the corner, and I pick that up and I can drag that down to cover a period of weeks. And so here, as we can see, I've got my information there. My expenditure for this week, well, it was an expensive week because I had to buy all sorts of bits and pieces, some new bingo cards and all sorts of things. So I spent £45.23, and here I can then drag this down, and we can see my total, my balance for that particular week. So I can see all of this information as it comes across. Okay. Now the other thing that we said that we can do is we can also build on the dates. So if I put my cursor there and press the equal sign, I can point onto that date there, and if I say +7, then what that will do is it will add 7 onto that date, and then I can drag that calculation down, and as you can see, I've now got my dates all the way through to the 4th of July. So what I've built now is a simple spreadsheet that means that as we go through each week, I can just go in and type in the amount of money that we're actually raising for each particular week, and to see how that's actually making an impact on our individual weeks. Yeah. And so that would actually work. So, oh look at that, I've actually managed to make a £45 income, £45 expenditure, so the balance was 0 for that particular week. Okay, now what we've also said though is that we also want to be able to format the money. Now if I put my cursor onto that value there, up here I've actually got a number format. You can see those little coins, and that signifies that that will format that as a pound, as pounds and pence. So again, I can actually highlight the numbers that I want to use in that format, and then I can just click on the pound format, and it will create me the necessary formatting. and there again I can go and do that. Now the final thing I want to do is just to show you how I can add a total. So if I go here and type in the word total, I can put my cursor here. Now I could press the equal sign, point to this cell, press the equal sign, etc. But what we've also got is an auto sum function, and that's based on this little backward E, the sigma sign. So if I click onto that, what it will do is it will highlight the range of cells that we want to use, and I can just press return. So the total income that we've actually got here is £480.50. If I put my cursor here and press the sigma sign, again I can then just press return, and I can see that my total expenditure is £113. And once again I can do the same, and there we can actually see what my total balance is. So that gives me my totals. Okay, so that is a very quick and brief introduction into the wonders of spreadsheets. I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope it works for you. Don't forget, any problems, just drop me an email. Thanks a lot. Cheers, bye.